Right. Hi guys, how's it? Hope you're good, hope you're well. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the OHS Hub, where our aim and our desire is just to create an OHS expert out of you, or to help you become the OHS expert that you should be. So it's quite an honor and a privilege just to come before you and just to talk to you of that particular aspect. So thank you for joining us. We dropped episode 1 earlier on. Hope you benefited, hope you liked it, hope it added value to your career, and that's very critical. Please go ahead and like and share and subscribe. You know the whole thing, but more importantly, click the notification button so that whenever we drop new episodes, you get a notification telling you of the new episodes that we'll be dropping. Right, it's episode 2. It's still early days. We're going to catch up. We're going to share a lot of things. But I'm happy that we have started. Today, I just want to talk about, right now, I just want to talk about something interesting. Have you ever been to, maybe not even have you ever been, maybe it's at your current workplace, or have you ever been to a workplace where you get into it, there's a beautiful big sign written, "Enter at your own risk." Enter at your own risk. Enter at your own risk. That sign which says "Enter at your own risk," which you have put as a safety officer, which the company you are working for have put, and you found it there, or when you're visiting a friend, a colleague, a brother, sister, aunt, mother, father, uyafika lapho uthole nawo nayo nkulu le sign ithi "Enter at your own risk." Now the question which I want to address today is that sign a legal sign or it's an illegal sign? It's very important, because it's an issue to do with risk, and better believe me, it's within your jurisdiction as a safety officer and as a health and safety specialist. Someone will come to you and say, no. Are you guys indemnifying yourself? You learned this concept just now. From risk. Because when you say enter at your own risk, hey, Baba, what will happen to you when you enter here? Hey, it's not our baby. It's not our story. It's not our story. It's not our story. Get inside, you'll see on your own. Now the question is, should that be so? Is it an illegal signage? And just to ventilate on that. Now, off the top of my head, based on what the Health and Safety Act says, I'll give you 2 references, legal references quickly. I don't want these videos to be too long and boring. They are quick, short and sharp. 10-minute videos, not more than 15 minutes. I'll try, not more than 15 minutes, so that we are just learning and we move on. Give you 2 references. Off the top of my head, using the different references which are there in the OHS Act, I would say that yes, dear safety specialist, the sign at the gate at your premises which says "Enter at your own risk" is actually an illegal signage. So I'll give you 3 references. Enter at your own risk. The first one, Section 8 of the Act. You have a Health and Safety Act. If you don't have, look for a Safety Act, download one online. Section 8 of the Act speaks of duties of employers to employees. So the first one, duty of the employer to who? To employees. Section 8 says it's the duty of every employer to, as far as reasonably practicable, provide a workplace which is safe and without risk. The employer has to provide what? An environment which is without risk. So based on that alone, an employer cannot then put a sign to say that "Enter at your own risk," when it is actually the employer who has to provide the work environment which is without risk, as per Section 8. Yeah, it's an illegal signage based on that alone. So for the employees of the organization, we cannot be telling our employees to come in and work at their own risk, because it is the duty of the employer to employees. That's what the Act says. It's not me. Check it out on your Act. Duties of the employer to employees. The employer has to provide a workplace which is without risk. That's the first one. As though that is not enough, let's take it a notch higher. The following section of the Act, Section 9, then speaks of duties of the employer, that is the company, to persons other than their employees, to anyone else who may not be the employees, that is to visitors, to contractors, to the courier guy, to the guy delivering Mr. Delivery, lunch, McDonald's, to whoever, to whoever, anyone who is not the employee of that organization, the employer has a duty to ensure that he provides a workplace which is without risk for them. Let me read it verbatimly so that we are on the same page. Verbatim simply means word for word. Let me read it verbatimly so that it won't be just me telling you my thoughts, but I'll quote directly from the Act so that we're on the same page. This is what Section 9 of the Act says, 9A. It says, the title says, General Duties of Employers, that is the company, and self-employed persons to persons other than their employees, meaning to anyone else other than their employees. Why? Because we've covered the employees part already on the what? On Section 8. Now it's talking about contractors, visitors, whoever, other than their employees. This is what the Act says in Section 9A. It says, every employer shall conduct his undertaking, meaning his business, or whatever he does, in such a manner as to ensure, as far as reasonably practicable, that persons other than those in his employment who may be directly affected by his activities are not thereby exposed to hazards to their health and safety. Check it out yourself, read it in the Act. So it's the duty of the employer to make sure that anyone else, other than the employees, anyone else, must not be exposed to hazards and risks when they come to their premises. So it's the duty of the employer to actually remove the hazards, remove the risks, put controls in place to ensure that whoever comes to our premises is safe and without risk. So, which then means you cannot then put a what? A sign by the gate saying, enter at your own risk, because it will be contrary to the Act. The Act says, no, employer, it's your duty to make sure that anyone who comes through those gates is safe and without risk. Both your employees and persons other than your employees. Unless if I'm reading the Act wrongly, please feel free to correct me. I'm open to learning. I am a safety expert, and so are you. We want to help each other grow. So, am I correct, guys? Am I right? Am I interpreting it right? I read it verbatimly. So you cannot be having a sign outside. All my clients whom I consult for, I tell them, hey, remove that thing there. It is our duty. I tell them, guys, it's our duty to make sure that we remove all the what? All the hazards and risks. That's what Section 9 says. That's what we're supposed to do. Unless maybe we put then a sign which says no unauthorized entry, and then if someone then enters without authorization and they jump the fence, no, that's their story. Now it's at their own risk. Now we are not going to ask again. But pound for pound, someone whom we allow through our gates, better believe it, they are our responsibility to make sure that they are safe and without risk as per Section 9. Does that make sense, guys? Very, very important, safety officer. Very, very important. That's key. I remember I got a job somewhere a few years ago, 6-7 years ago. And one of the things that impressed my employer was when they said at the end of the interview, so Jasper, any questions, anything you want to add or say, anything you want to say just to justify us employing you as we close this interview. And then I mentioned this and I said that once I join the organization, I'll bring changes that will ensure that the organization does not lose money through legal liability. For instance, by firstly removing the sign at the entrance which says enter at own risk. When labor comes through and they see that we are trying to indemnify ourselves from complying with the requirements of the Act, they will charge us fines and penalties, specifically to the 16.1. I mentioned those things, I dropped it in there, and guess what? They were quite impressed. They further on us to say that, no, explain it to us. And then I just broke it down nicely to them. And after that, it was a no-brainer. They were like, what's the point? Should we even interview the other guys? Let's give this guy the job. Let's give him the job once. That's what they were like. Later on, when I spoke to HR, when I got the job, he was telling me that I was like, after that thing, he said, after the stunt you pulled to show us a loophole, we're like, this is the guy we need. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be conversant with health and safety to that extent. But as if it's not enough, let me take it a notch higher. Section 40 of the Act, again, speaks to that. Doesn't not only speak to that, but speaks to the fact that if you go to premises whereby when you're entering the premises, security gives you a form to write and sign to say that I, Jasper Ndebele, I agree to enter at my own risk. Any injury, any loss of property, any this that will happen to me will not be held against the directors, the safety officer, the management of the company. That whole story. Have you ever seen that? Yes. Yeah. An indemnity form, we call it. It's called an indemnity form, where you indemnify yourself as a business and say that if anything happens to you, that's your own baby. But you can't indemnify yourself. You can't. Even if I sign. I know some of you say that, but Jasper, what if the person signed? They're of the right mind, they're of the right state, but they sign and agree to entering at their own risk. Here it is. Go to section 40 of the Health and Safety Act. At the end of the Act, after all has been said and done, this is what the Act says. The Act says, this Act, this Occupational Health and Safety Act, 85 of 1993, is not affected by any agreements. That's what the title says. Check it out in your Act. I don't want to be telling you things which are coming out of my mind or my opinion or opinion pieces. I want to be quoting from the Act. Section 40 of the Act says, the title actually says, this Act not affected by agreements. It's not affected by agreements. So even if someone signs at the gate and says, hey, I agree, I'm entering at my own risk, when this thing goes to court, pound for pound, that signature, that paper won't hold water, because this Act, we don't know about other acts, colleagues, but this Act, the Occupational Health and Safety Act 85 of 1993, is not affected by any agreements. The homework in this particular episode is just go and read what section 40 says there. It just says, except for the case of section 10.4 and section 37.2, you know, the 37.2 agreement, where the contractor actually signs to say that we'll be responsible for this, that, and that. Except for those two cases only, you cannot indemnify yourself. And except for when, for instance, you have an exemption form, which we'll talk about in another situation. But otherwise, anything else, you can't indemnify yourself. So, in conclusion, I've given you 3 legal references. Section 8 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, Section 9 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, Section 40 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, all point to the fact that you cannot indemnify yourself to your responsibility of providing a workplace which is safe and without risk. All 3 pieces of legislation point to the fact that you cannot have a sign at the entrance. I keep on pointing that side because the gate to my house is this side, so I'm envisioning the sign there. So you cannot put a sign there at the gate to say that enter at your own risk. No, you have to provide a workplace which is safe and without risk. And that's what your job is as a safety officer. Done. That's what I wanted to talk about, guys. Hope that makes sense. Hope it opens your mind a bit. What I talk about on the OHS Hub here is not Bible truth, guys. It's not the end all and be all. I'm sharing what I feel or how I interpret the act and how I've learned it and how I see it. Feel free to engage. Let's discuss. Let's share ideas. Tell me what you think. Tell me and say, Jasper, no, no. You are lost, Braga, you are lost. You are lost. And you tell me because of 1, 2, and 3. Tell me and say, Alvus, vet. You know, I'm imagining a Zulu lady. I'll vet. No. You are lost, vet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You correct me. Let's discuss. Let's help each other go. Otherwise, thank you for joining me for this episode. I really, really appreciate it. You go ahead and share, like, subscribe. Please share with others on different WhatsApp platforms. I'm not in every group. I think I'm on one group only. Please share with others in the same way you are benefiting. Share with others so that we all grow, we all become better and that will be appreciated. Otherwise, thank you very much, guys. It's always a pleasure just to come and use your data. Thank you so much for your sacrifice. It's appreciated. Keep well. Let's talk on the comment section. Let's engage there. Keep well. Bye-bye. Peace out.